You are listening to Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, unknown actors with me, Louise, the Artistic Director of Standby Method Acting Studio. And for the last 13 years, I've been taking unknown actors with blank CVs all the way to Netflix dramas, Amazon Prime films, TV soaps and stage plays around the world. And every week I'll be talking with you and sharing how you can become a paid working unstoppable actor, because you 1000% can. An acting career is doable. Are you ready to dive into the episode? Hi, welcome to Unstoppable Actors. I'm so excited to deliver today's episode because although the title sounds very negative, I actually want to empower you and I want to arm you up with information and insights that are very rarely taught about the business of acting that can get you towards being an unstoppable actor quicker than you currently are. You have to decide what being an unstoppable actor is for you and what your version of success is as an unstoppable actor. But the perspective that I'm coming from today in this episode is that you are getting regular paid acting work. I delivered this last night on Instagram and in our Unstoppable Actors Facebook group, and the response to it was very, very, very positive. And it is simply because these things are just not taught, and yet they make the biggest difference in you achieving your acting goals. I am so excited because the Business of Acting Bootcamp is open for enrolment. This is an incredible course that you get lifetime access to that takes what I'm about to share in this episode with you to a whole new level. So if at the end of this episode you have been very inspired, motivated, uplifted, educated, and you want more, then definitely come and drop into the DMs on Instagram, which is at Standby Method Acting Studio, and DM me the words discount code so I can send you a private discount code for £100 off, and I'll also send you the link to the Business of Acting Bootcamp as well. I'll just share very briefly what it is. It's more than just you having a passion to act and a calling to act. It's more than you just getting the odd one or two more auditions. The Business of Acting Bootcamp is about you replacing your current income with acting work. So generating an income that becomes your full-time income from acting. It's worked for our students in the past. Our students have managed to get into Hollywood films, Netflix, TV soap, stage plays. You hear me say it all the time in the introduction. I don't need to tell you again. So as I've already said, enrolment is open. If at the end of the episode you are wanting more, please come into the DMs and DM the word discount code, and I'll give you that secret discount code and I'll give you the link for the Business of Acting Bootcamp. The 3 things that stop early career actors from succeeding are emotions, data, and lack mindset. And I'm going to explore these in more detail. Emotions, what do I mean by this then? So something that we're not taught about as actors is that our emotions have a huge influence on whether we will be successful or not. What we're actually taught is acting skills. We go to acting classes, we get our acting skills, we develop our craft, but that is not enough. That is not enough to become an unstoppable actor. Yes, you do need to have the skills to be able to be versatile and play a multitude of roles that come your way. You've got to be able to play everything from the drug addict authentically to the person who's just gone through miscarriage, to the person who's just lost their job, to the person who seems to have everything going really well for them and seems to have what might look like a steady life. You've got to be able to play all multitudes of roles, and that's only one part of becoming an unstoppable actor. The other part is not just learning the skills of how to market yourself successfully, but learning how to successfully navigate your own emotions. So one thing you should know about your emotions is that whatever you are feeling multiplies. So for example, if you are feeling doubtful that an acting career is going to take off for you, it's going to pay off, it's ever going to get anywhere, that doubt multiplies. It feeds itself and it grows bigger and bigger and bigger. If you have a fear of auditions, which many of you will know that I did have a fear of auditions, years ago. I've managed to change it now, and I'm now excited about auditions, but I used to have a fear of auditions. And what used to happen is that fear would multiply. It would feed itself and it would grow bigger and bigger and bigger. This is a psychological fact that whatever we experience emotionally grows. So if you've also got some frustrations going on around your acting career right now, that frustration is going to feed itself and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Do you think this fear, frustration, and doubt is helpful and is useful and is actually going to guide you towards the success that you are after and that you imagine yourself experiencing with your acting career? Of course it's not. So we've got to do something about it. And I'm going to come back to that in a moment. I'm going to move on to data for now. So another thing that many actors are not doing is they are simply not tracking things and they are not generating data. And when I say data, I mean, yes, the boring numbers, the conversions, the things that we as creatives don't necessarily find interesting because we would much rather just jump into playing a meaty character. Now, if we are to play multiple meaty characters, we've got to get to grips with the data, as unsexy as it is. Data is things like, how many castings have you applied for and how many have you been asked to do an audition for? That's one set of data. Another set of data is, out of the amount of auditions you've had, how many are converting into paying jobs? That's only two sets of data. There are many different ways we can track data with our acting career. And as boring as it is for us, it's essential because it tells a story. It tells us the story of what we need to do more of what's working, and what needs tweaking. And that can actually take the emotion out of feeling frustrated, doubtful, scared, any other negative emotion that you feel when you don't get an offer for an audition, when you don't get the offer for a role, when the agent's not replying to you. Because when you look at the data, we've now got logical information. We've got facts. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail with that a little bit later on. I'm going to come to lack mindset. So lack mindset is where, and I'm going to use auditions for the example for this, but lack mindset is where you might be saying things like, oh, I've not had an audition for 6 months. I don't know where my next audition's coming from. I hate auditions. You get none for a year and then all of a sudden 10 show up. That lack mindset is actually taking us back round to the first point that I made, which is emotions. And it's then starting to feed us into those negative emotions, and whatever that negative emotion is that you experience, as we've already shared, multiplies, feeds itself, grows, get bigger. So we have to stop this from happening. I'm not talking about toxic positivity here and pretending everything's okay. I'm an absolute massive advocate for feeling the shitty feelings that we experience, but I'm not an advocate for sitting in them and dwelling in them. Feel them, let them out of you, and then let's move forwards. So let's go back to emotions then. So if we've got an emotion such as fear taking over, I'm fearful about this acting career, I'm scared that I've been spending money on headshots and showreels and acting classes and courses, and I'm scared that I'll end up with nothing, well, that fear, that scared feeling is just going to multiply. So you have to stop it in its tracks and go, okay, it's fine that I feel this, it's a normal human feeling, but if I continue to feel this, I'm actually not going to get anywhere. So we need to flip that, and we need to start to tap into a more elevated emotion. So something along the lines of excitement, which you heard me talk about earlier in the episode. I managed to transform my emotions around auditions from being scared of them to actually being excited for them. Because the same thing happens with positive emotions. When you feel excited for something, it feeds itself, it multiplies, it grows. Are you in a better position to be more successful if you are feeling those more elevated emotions? Of course you are. It's a no-brainer, right? So one of the ways that you can do this is through mental rehearsal, by connecting with your future actor self. And your future actor self is the person, the actor, that's in the future, way ahead of you, and they're already successful. They've achieved everything that you want to achieve as an actor. So you connect with them through guided visualization. Now, for those of you that do come and enroll in the Business of Acting Bootcamp and you allow me to coach you with your acting career from the business side of it, I'm going to gift you as a bonus for joining that a guided visualization for success that I listened to every single night as I was returning from a 5-year break from the acting industry. It's only 10 minutes long, and that guided visualization did more for my acting career than anything else. because I was constantly connecting to my future actor self. And I started to get more auditions than I'd ever had in my life, and I didn't even have an agent. Because when you're connecting to your future actor self, you're actually brainwashing yourself in a very positive way, and your brain filters out anything that is nothing to do with what you are constantly focusing on. It is so incredibly powerful and mind-blowing. Now, the second thing is the data. The data is a little bit boring. I do understand that. I acknowledge that. I don't particularly like doing it myself, but I have to do it because it is telling me a story of what's working and what's not, as I've already shared earlier. So again, inside the Business of Acting Bootcamp, I'm going to show you a very exciting way that you can track data and keep the emotions out of it so you can continue on a growth path and not a self-sabotaging path. Because I have to be honest, at times, you are going to see that you've applied for a lot of castings and you've had barely any audition invites. Or you've gone to a lot of auditions and you've not converted as many auditions into paying jobs as you would have wanted to. Now, the propensity for us as actors, because we are quite sensitive, is that we can start to feel down about that. But I'm going to show you a way to track the data that's exciting and a way to get elevated and excited even when the conversions are not what you would want. And then finally, lack mindset. I'm going to give you something that you can take away today and you can use from here on in. So if we take that example of, I've not had an audition for 6 months. I don't know where my next audition's coming from. I hate auditions. Auditions do my head in. You get none and then 10 all of a sudden. Now am I expected to be able to prepare for 10 auditions all at once? If you change that word audition to energy, you change your internal story. So let me put that into practice for you and give you an example. I hate energy. I've not had any energy for 6 months. I hate energy because you get no energy for a year and then all of a sudden I've got 10 lots of energy. How am I expected to prepare 10 energies? I can't take credit for this. I got this from a hypnotherapist called Marissa Peer, who's fantastic at what she does. When I heard this, and she was talking about it in relation to something else, but when I heard this, I was like, that is mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing, because it sounded ridiculous. And the way I perceived this is, me as Louise, I can generate energy. Energy's within me. Energy is something that I have all the time. How can I even sit here and say, I hate energy? And then it really flipped the script for me and it made me go, well, if I can generate energy, I can generate audition opportunities for myself. Just that flipping the script, that very small switch, did something for me that all the affirmations in the world in front of the mirror would never, ever do. Because it's breaking the circuits in your brain of the stories that you already know. The brain likes familiarity. It likes being able to guess the outcome. But when you're changing the word audition for energy, now it can't because it's not heard this before. And it's like, oh, what? You can generate energy? And these little tips and tricks and hacks are things that I go into a lot of detail with inside the Business of Acting Bootcamp. So I hope you have found this episode really useful. I hope it's given you some tools for you to work with going forward so you can start to get closer and closer and closer to becoming that unstoppable actor that you absolutely deserve to be. And if you want to find out more about the Business of Acting Bootcamp and you want that secret discount code, come and DM me over at Instagram, which is at Standby Method Acting Studio, the words discount code. I'll send you it and I'll send you the link so you can have a little look up at your invitation. The Business of Acting Bootcamp is for those actors who are absolutely determined to get their next paid acting job sooner rather than later. Hope you've enjoyed this. I'll see you again soon. I've absolutely loved hanging out with you, and I really hope you found this episode inspiring. If you have, please do rate the podcast and hit follow so you never miss an episode, and I can help more actors like you. And come and join one of the most supportive, uplifting acting communities on socials, the Unstoppable Actors Facebook group, where you'll get your weekly injection of inspiration, networking, and receive your free Method Actors handbook so you can become an unstoppable actor.